I just want to start by saying good evening and welcome to an evening of jazz. I hope that you are all sitting comfortably. At least the heat will help us to pretend that we are maybe in a small, cozy jazz club somewhere in Soho. We are now midway through our virtually speaking program of summer events, and we are hugely grateful for the help and generosity of a number of colleagues, parents, and alumni, whom without this wouldn't have happened. Also, a big thank you to all of you for joining us tonight and supporting it. And I know that many of you have also supported the Bursaries Appeal, a key part in our Inspiring Minds campaign. So thank you very much. This year saw significant growth in the numbers applying for bursaries at each entry point. And I'm delighted to say that this year's appeal will be able to fund 5 new bursaries from September. So on to tonight. We are very happy to welcome Mark Wallace. Mark has been head of economics at Latimer Upper School since 1999. As a pianist, he has played with many of the UK's jazz legends, such as Digby Fairweather and Roy Williams, as well as working with singers such as Wendy Kniper. Tonight, Mark will play half a dozen of numbers from the American Songbook, and I hope you all will enjoy.
Well, hello, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely evening, at least until this point, and maybe you've got a drink. We're going to kind of pretend we're in Ronnie Scott's. We've got the low lighting. I'm in the recital hall. Got this beautiful Steinway piano. And so we're going to look at 1 or 2 numbers in the American Songbook. The American Songbook is nothing definitive. There's not a definitive canon of particular numbers or compositions, but it reflects the music of America from 1900 to 1950. So a bit more about that later. I think we'll start with a lovely song from the musical Showboat, because much of the American Songbook did come from musicals, such as those by Richard Rodgers, for instance. And we'll start with Joan Kern and Can't Help Loving That Man of Mine. I think we'll start in C. I'll do about half a dozen numbers, so don't worry, it won't take all evening. All right, here we go. Okay, now for something just a bit smoother and more gentle. Part of the American songbook experience, I suppose, with the great singers, people such as Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, who did the most amazing scat singing, Ella Fitzgerald had the most impeccable voice and the most impeccable timing. And these great jazz singers are well worth, of course, hearing. And they dominated popular music, I suppose, from the 20s in towards the 60s. Then rock and roll took over, of course. A song dedicated to Billie Holiday is this lovely song called Lover Man, Oh Where Can You Be? And she had a very, very difficult life, and this song is perhaps particularly poignant. So here we go. Loverman, sung by Billie Holiday, great hit for Billie Holiday. And now for something perhaps a little quicker. I think what we'll maybe do is look at some numbers by Duke Ellington. I'm a big fan of Duke Ellington, as actually was Edward Heath Prime Minister in the 70s, because Ellington did one of his final concerts in Westminster Abbey, and it was called the Third Sacred Concert. He wrote a load of music for it. He had the John Alders Choir, he had his big orchestra, and that, in a sense, was his swan song. Edward Heath was there, Princess Margaret was there, she liked a good party, and I think there was a reception at number 10 afterwards. Sadly, Duke Ellington died about 6 months later. Ellington wrote about 1,000 compositions, and not just swing, but very suites later on. His career was certainly made again after a little dip after World War II in the Newport Festival in 1956. If you can see film of the Ellington band play, that is amazing. And a lot of the musicians, the top jazz musicians, stuck with Duke Ellington, played with him for years, such as Johnny Hodges on alto saxophone. Anyhow, this is a very famous and overly done, probably, number that's certainly become part of the American Songbook and a jazz standard, so Satin Doll. All right, how are we going to do this? So that was Satin Doll, and another Ellington number. He often wrote highly lyrical numbers, and not necessarily in the swing idiom. An example, I suppose, might be Sophisticated Lady. So we'll try a slightly bitonal approach to this. That's two chords together, two triads together. Instead of that, let's see what happens. This is quite chromatic meaning playing the black notes as well as the white notes, if you like. That's not a very good Oxford definition of chromatic. Anyhow, here we go. I think we'll start on an F sharp. It's about a sophisticated lady, perhaps written for Johnny Hodges, I'm not totally sure about that. And now I think one of his most famous numbers, and done a lot, is Take the A Train. Over the holidays, I was listening to Debussy, which was rather nice. Not everyone appreciates it. And of course, the key thing about Debussy is arguably the start of modernism in music, because if you, in this lecture series, if you look at the talk by the great, legendary Robert Orme, I think that he perhaps claims that Impressionism could be argued to be the start of modernism in art. But certainly in music, you could argue that some of Debussy's orchestral works were the beginning of modernism, in the sense that there's no clear determinant key. That kind of thing. So, okay, what's this got to do with Take the A Train? So I heard David Briggs, one of the great organists of the world, and well worth watching and listening to. He did a whole series of lockdown recitals in his tiny church at a very rural part of the USA where he's locked down. And this is really fascinating, well, it is to me anyhow. And so I realised that he'd done a great improvisation and composition based on Take the A Train. So just taking one or two little elements from that, perhaps. Anyhow, and then we'll get on with the actual piece. Okay, well, I hope that wasn't too avant-garde. Now something less avant-garde. After the last concert I did in Chiswick, someone came up to me and said, that piece you did on the organ was really quite avant-garde, wasn't it? I was just trying to quote a bit copy Messiaen, very in useless way probably, but there we go. So I think we'll do another number that's a bit quieter by Ellington, which is sentimental sounding in a sentimental mood. Right, different key. Start on an F this time. in a sentimental mood. I hope you're enjoying your wine or beer or coffee or tea, whatever you're drinking. And so I think that's the end of the Ellington numbers. And I think we'll maybe try something a bit bluesy. Oh yes, in a different key. So we'll move to E flat, at least to start with. Then maybe do a Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow, notice he ups the keys, up the tension. His piece is quite formulaic, but quite successful, of course. So we'll start in E flat, and then we'll do a little. Yeah, see if you can guess what number it is. I'll try and remember to say what it is later, and see if you can guess when the actual number begins. Hopefully it'll be fairly subtle. So we'll begin with, I think, what are called suspensions in musical theory, an E flat basically. But we're starting in the relative key of C minor, I think. Okay, Georgia on My Mind was the number, and it kind of began, I think, here. Okay, now to finish off, have that last drop of Chardonnay, or whatever you're drinking. We'll finish off with a sort of Bach-like two-part invention, two-part because of two parts, based on what I've just played, I suppose, very loosely, very loosely, on the middle section, this bit. Okay, and then thank you very much for watching, if you're still watching, and please support the arts. The arts are in some peril at the moment. Please support musicians who are definitely in peril at the moment. Our great orchestras, our great choirs, our great cathedral choirs, jazz need your support, as well as this fine establishment, Latimer Upper School, of which I'm in. So thank you very much, and again, thank you for watching. All right, what are we going to do?
Thank you so much, Mark. I hope you all really enjoyed that. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. And that's it from us tonight. If you would like to join us again this week on Friday, Latimer English teacher Luke Maxted will give a lunchtime lecture discussing the Epiphany, the sudden moment of profound realization in literature from the New Testament to Philip Larkin. And on Wednesday night next week, former Latimer parent Gay Search tells the story of her and her family's involvement in the Portland spy case in the 1960s, which was one of the most notorious of the Cold War. So all really interesting, so make sure not to miss that. Also, I would like to mention that on Sunday, so this coming Sunday on the 16th of August, Latimer's head, David Goodhue, and Latimerian and former Governor Sir Jim Smith, class of 1973, will cycle 100 miles as part of My Ride London to raise a target of £2,000 for the Birthright Appeal. And I'm certain a little support will be very much appreciated. You find a link to their fundraising page in the chat now, hopefully, together with a link to our upcoming events page and a link to the Birthright Appeal donation page if you would like to make a donation. I think that's it for us tonight. So if you want to copy any of those links or click on them, please do so now before I end this event. But thank you so much again for joining. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Johnny in IT, for recording this lovely performance, and hopefully see you all very, very soon.